afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my workshop, 15 Mistakes Violinists Make Before an Audition. My name is Dr. Lynn Kuo, founder of Violin with Dr. Lynn. Thank you so much for joining me on Good Friday. I assume that everyone is here ready to be looking forward to looking at how we're going to be improving our audition preparation. So it looks like a lot of people are signed in already. We have Andres, Jan, Philip Sinlinger. Hi, Luke. Antonella, Laurence, Julia, Iya, Kim, Susanna, Nick, nice to see you all. This is really great. Captain Caffeine, Luis, Jenya, fantastic. So the first thing I'm going to ask everyone to do is to say hello to everybody and tell me where you're from, where in the world you're from, and whether you have an audition coming up in the next 6 months or so. I would love to know where everyone's coming from so that I get a sense of who's here, who's participating. Who's Ko is here, Barbara's here, Susan, Nampu, Alyssa, Aishik, hello, Kevin, hey Kevin, Kyson, hi again, Jane, nice, Denver, Colorado, fantastic, Narcisse, hello, Carol from Florida, fantastic. Who's got an audition in the next 6 months? All right, and if you dare to share who you're auditioning for, please share in the chat. If you'd rather keep it private, then don't share. Miranda, Paolo, Yulia, Tatiana, Michael, Elizabeth. Oh, Elizabeth, you're in Toronto. Fantastic. Susan, you're doing Kiwanis in Canada. Excellent. Natalia, you're in Sarasota. Anthony, Omaha. Kim, you're in Victoria. Yay. Florencia, Paraguay. Nice. Victoria, Thunder Bay. Chris, you're in Orlando. Auditioning for Atlanta. Next Sunday. Good luck. Paolo, hello from Sacramento. Audition coming. Narcisse from Budapest. Cecilia, Mexico City. Christian in Vancouver. Hello. Tyler, violist, welcome from Colorado. Angelica, hello. Nice to see you. See you very soon. Kyson in New Jersey. Laurence, you're from France. Bonjour. Musical journey. Wow, tons of you. Jennifer, don't have any auditions, but plan to work on it. Okay. Finola from Ireland. Susanna from the San Francisco Bay Area. Hey, I'm going to be there too. I'm going to Castro Valley soon. Tom Newman, Nick from Spokane, John from New Brunswick. Hey, I'm from Newfoundland. Daniela, Daniela, anyone have issue with sound? Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Can someone tell me if they can hear me? Please, pretty please in the chat. Nampu from Thailand. Wow, that's far. Yan from Boston. Wesley. Hello, Wesley Margaret. Nice to see you. Victoria, coming up in April. Holy cow, there's so many of you. Walter, Miranda, Jorge, Luis. Okay, good. Sound is good. Thank you so much. Okay, let's not waste any time. So this is your Good Friday. This is Easter weekend. Let's get started here. Now, I have a slide presentation that I created. I did quickly this morning. So let's see. I'm going to start a share now. Actually, before I go into the screen share of my slide, tell me one thing that you know has impacted your audition prep and has cut you out from the first round. If you can think of something, write it in the chat. Please share. It helps us to come together as a community and find out what has held you back from doing your best at an audition. Probably nerves, right? Is it shakiness or something like this? Just write it in the chat. Okay, now I'm going to go into presentation mode with my fancy screen share. Okay. Nerves. Michael says, nerves made my bow so heavy and so light at the same time. Kim says, bad travel plans. Interesting. Lack of sleep. Yeah. Tension. Angelica says, tension. Yes. Andres, missed shifting. Yep. Cecilia, nerves. Susanna, nerves. Jennifer, not enough time to study the other parts, instrument in the orchestra. Great. Hope says, bow shaking. Aishik, shaky bow. Yes. Susan, rushing. So pulse. Interesting. Oh, Jorge, listening to other competitors. Okay, great. This is perfect. This is perfect. I'm glad. Keep sharing because it helps us to know we're not alone. Okay, so I'm going to share this window. Good, it works. All right, good, excellent. Okay, so here we go. 15 mistakes violinists make before an audition. Let's get going here. All right, let's start off with an interesting quote or a fact. This is approximate quote too, but I'm guessing this is about right because I was subbing in the Toronto Symphony. Actually, last night I was on stage with the Toronto Symphony, and we speak and chat and gossip in the locker room. And I swear to you that after a violin audition that was held, one of the committee members said that 50 people went through the studio hall. They split the they split the auditioners into the concert hall and a separate studio hall. This person was in the studio hall, and they said that they heard 50 people and only 3 people passed into the first round. 3. Okay. Now that is a scary statistic. So this is really, really crazy. So as you can see, we have a problem here. Oh, let's actually, you know what? I just realized I can start sharing some comments here. Let me try. Let's see here. And I can't control my mouse. Okay, hold on. All right. So I wanted to show you what everyone's saying here. Tension. What are your biggest setbacks in auditions? Let's take a look here. Right? Lack of concentration, tension, stay at home, but I miss my violin, nerves, even after visualization, lack of concentration, tons, nerves causing you to make mistakes, nerves and mindset, so much waiting time before, thinking and playing like a soloist, not too precise, nerves, haven't played much since the pandemic, feeling like I don't know my piece well enough. Okay, all right, so these are the things that we want to take a look at today. So let's go back to the workshop here. Now, what mistakes and oversights are you making that are costing you at the audition? So we've come to see that a lot of people, a lot of us have qualities in our preparation that are holding us back. So what are we doing or missing in our preparation that might be causing the nerves, the shakiness, the feeling of not being prepared, and the not feeling confident? Let's take a look. And I want you to think about this. How serious are you about doing something about these setbacks and obstacles, right? Think about how serious you are about putting in the effort and putting in the work to up your audition game. So we're going to talk about 15 audition mistakes. And I've taken these 15, which I think are quite important, and divided them into 2 different categories. The first category I lumped together into technical preparation. So practicing the notes, the technique, mastering all the different bow strokes, intonation, pulse, rhythm, etc. Musical preparation, meaning style and tempo, and historical context. And also I lumped together it with time management. The second category is a big one that you all mentioned, performance nerves, right? Shaking, feeling not confident, what to do in the waiting room. So these are the things I want to take a look at. So we're going to take a look at part 1 first, the mistakes that are dealing with technical preparation, musical preparation, and time management. Where do we go wrong when we prepare for an audition? So first mistake that I'd like to talk about is practicing just to learn the notes and to fix the notes. Now you may say, but of course, that's what we're supposed to do when we get ready for an audition. We're supposed to practice the notes. We're supposed to learn the notes. We get an audition list and we're supposed to learn the notes, the excerpts, and figure it out how it goes into the orchestra part and fix the notes that are wrong. This is great. I'm not saying it's wrong, but the key word here is just to learn and fix the notes and not preparing the notes for performance. See, I talk to a lot of violinists and they say, well, I didn't play it outside of my living room. Or I say, well, did you test it in front of an audience? And they say, no, I didn't. Now, how do we expect to win a job if we're going to be competing against 50 or 100 other violinists looking for the same job as you, and you haven't tested out your audition list? So people are practicing in the practice room just to learn the notes and not taking into consideration that they have to prepare the notes for competition mode. This is a major mistake that I have seen. Right, let's move on to mistake number 2. By the way, has anyone been guilty of this mistake, just practicing and not doing any mock auditions? Can anyone state that in the comments? Just making sure that you are completely honest and let me know. Okay, let's go to audition preparation mistake number 2. So now that you've thought about, okay, so maybe I have to start playing my audition list for some people, right? So you start organizing a group of friends and you say, listen, I'm getting ready for an audition. Can you please listen to a few excerpts? And you play it once, you play it twice. Okay, Angelica says yes. Okay, thank you, Angelica, for your honesty. Yes, okay. So playing for a few friends, you think, yes, I'm going to play my excerpt list. I'm going to do a mock audition for my friends. I might even do it over FaceTime or Zoom for a few friends. And then maybe just, 3 times before the audition, I'm good. I play it for my mom, play it for my dad, play it for my dog. It's going to be good. So who has done that and discovered that they're still nervous, right? It's not enough. It's totally not enough. And I tell you why. If you've ever gone through competitive training, you have to do this mock audition multiple times, up to 30 times, up to 40 times even. That may sound like a lot, but you may need up to that many mock auditions to get you comfortable with any situation of pressure, including the real audition. Okay, let's take a look at the third preparation mistake. Jumping into practicing for the audition and you don't have a plan. So, okay, who here is busy gigging when you get ready for an audition? Me. I'm always gigging. I'm always busy. I'm always teaching. I'm always playing a concert. I'm playing an orchestra gig. Who here? Raise your hand. Okay. Oh, thank you. Look, this is Nick. Nick says, David Kim says even 50 mock auditions. All right. Yes. So we agree here that we have to make sure that we don't make that mistake. Thank you. Louise says, yes, me too. So jumping into practicing without a plan. Who here is always so busy that they, yes, here we go. Miranda says, busy being a mom. Exactly. We all have really busy lives. So to jump into a competition like an audition, remember, an audition is a competition, and you start hacking away at the audition list, you do not have a plan, this could be the end of your success. Because if you go in without a plan, we fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay, so how do we make this plan? How do we organize our time? How do we break up the list into priority, into the top priority, into the least priority? And how do you devote time in your busy day outside of your gigs, in your rehearsal break, your lunch break, before you go to bed, sneak it in before breakfast? How are you going to split the spare minutes of your day to the very important excerpts or the certain bars in your concerto? This is what I mean by planning right down to the micro management, right down to the bars in your music, right down to the very minutes of your day. Okay, this is a great question. Jennifer says, how to make a plan? Would love to hear more. Well, you're going to be pleased to hear that I will have a special announcement later. I will share with you a very special announcement that I have coming about a program, a boot camp that's coming, that I will go into deeper detail about how to make that plan. Okay. Hi, Walter. Busy to work multiple projects and gigs. Exactly. So we do need to make a plan. All right. Let's move on here. Audition preparation mistake number 4 is not working on your technique away from audition season. Okay. Now this one I've done too. I've done this myself. When I take an audition, I start realizing, oh shoot, my Mendelssohn Scherzo, it's all spiccato. I better start working on my spiccato. And then I start going through spiccato drills, and then start working on the off the string stroke, and then trying to feel out where the bow and the where in the bow and how high the bow and the angle of the bow. Yes, it's an audition is a great catalyst for working on your technique. But by the time the audition comes, that time disappears very fast, and you realize, I didn't get to finish perfecting my spiccato. I didn't get to finish perfecting my vibrato or my sound production. So this is a great way to work on your technique. An audition is a great way to work on your technique, but when the audition is over, you do need a break. For example, after a break, you're quite tired after an audition, but what about the off time, the downtime? Are you still working on your left hand clarity? Are you still working on your bow control? So this is an important thing to consider. Why is this an important thing to consider? Because when you consider athletes in sports, when they are on their off season, when they're not in the Super Bowl, when they're not competing in the playoffs, when they're not in a tournament, when they're not doing a championship, they are still working on their putt, their three-pointer shot, their pitch, their speed drills, their power drills. They're still going to the gym to work on their strength training, their agility. So they continue to work on their skills even when they're not in the middle of a competition. I hope that makes sense. If we start to consider ourselves just the same elite status as an athlete, then we will start to consider ourselves in the same training mode, so that we don't just save our heavy training for when a big deadline comes, but we consider ourselves training throughout the entire year, improving our craft. So let's move on here. Audition preparation mistake number 5, having weak rhythm and pulse and not knowing it. Okay, who here knows that when they play Schumann Scherzo or Don Juan, that their pulse drifts a little bit, right? Just maybe type a yes, a Y in the chat. I'll do that. Mine does. Yes. Okay, so my pulse will drift, and I have to work on my my steadiness of pulse. I also have to work on the evenness of my triplets. I also have to work on the evenness of sextuplets, quintuplets, twos against threes. Oh, look at this. Everybody here. Yes, rhythm, pulse, rhythm and pulse. Yes, everybody, rhythm and pulse. Okay. So this is really important, because why do people get cut from an audition? Why? Usually it's the big five: sound, intonation, rhythm and pulse, and then their style, and then whether they think they're going to blend in the orchestra. All right. Okay. So this is really important to be understanding how important working on your pulse and how important working on your rhythm is. And we have to understand that these two are distinct entities. Pulse is not the same as rhythm, and rhythm is not the same as pulse. You can have a very good pulse, but uneven rhythm. You can have quite good rhythm, but your pulse is drifting. Too fast, too slow. Does that make sense? Are you with me? Are you with me on that, type of yes in the chat? Yes. Or maybe R for rhythm. R for rhythm. Okay, if you're with me on that. Do we not know the difference between rhythm and pulse? Do me a favor. What gets written down gets remembered. Someone please write in the chat, rhythm is different from pulse. Yes, R. Thank you. A lot of R's coming in. Thank you. Yes, good. Yes, you're all with me. Good. Okay, someone please write that down for all of us to remember. Rhythm is not the same as pulse, or pulse is not the same as rhythm. Someone please write that in the chat for all of us to remember. Okay? All right, let's go here. Thank you, Barbara. I'm going to post that. Thank you, Barbara. There we go. And Kim, rhythm is different from pulse. Yes. Tom, yes. Thank you. Michael, thank you. Thank you. Good. See, what gets written down will get remembered. Now, let's move on. Audition preparation mistake number 6. Okay. Being unaware of the other orchestra parts. Okay. So I have coached some violinists, and they come to me asking for help. Let's say it's Mozart 41, for example, Mozart 39. And I can tell that they can't hear the second violin part, the accompaniment. So there's rhythm that goes underneath, or there's like dun, 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 or there's a timpani part that they need to play with. And timpani part can mean that your part will have to adjust the articulation. A second violin part might mean you need to be very, very even in your rhythm so that you don't get uneven and off kilter off of running eighth notes underneath. This is what I mean by being unaware of the other orchestra parts. Or perhaps you don't realize that you're playing in unison with the brass, or with the timpani, or with the horns. And this knowledge of the other orchestra parts will shape how you play your part. Unfortunately, we take the part, we learn it, and we neglect to study the score, listen to recordings with the score in front of us, and understand who is playing a rhythm underneath us. So many times I have people who come to my lessons and I coach them, and they actually skip a bunch of beats because they're not counting and hearing the other orchestra parts underneath. All right, who here understands the importance of score reading, right? So maybe put score reading in the chat. Score reading. Score reading is important. Someone please write that for me. Score reading is important. Okay, so yes, Code says yes. Anyone else here? Score reading. Thank you, Barbara. Score reading is important. Yes, score reading is important. Musical Journey says yes. Thank you so much. Kim, thank you. Kim and Barbara are leading the pack with our audience participation. Miranda, you too. iShik Gaming, yes. Ko, yes. Tom, thank you. Justice, Tatiana, Chris, thank you. Good. I love this audience participation. Good. The more that we participate, the more we're going to get out of this workshop. Okay. Jennifer, you're skipping multiple measures of rest. Okay. Well, let's talk about those questions, the Q&A. Okay. All right. Hope, thank you so much. And we have Nick. Thank you. Yes. Hi, Ina. Super important. Fun way to practice. Record another part and play along the excerpt. Yes, I agree with that, Ina. I definitely agree with that. Recording another part. Okay, good. Good. I'm glad you're with me. All right, so let's move on. Audition preparation mistake number 7. So now that you understand knowing the other parts is really important, then you realize, oh, I better listen to a bunch of recordings. Okay, I'll get the score. I'll listen to a few recordings. Now, this is a true story. I listened to a few recordings before I took an opera orchestra audition. And I was playing a Verdi opera overture. And it was very slow. I forget which opera. And I played it so slow. I listened to a very old recording and I got eliminated. And I asked for feedback after the audition, and the person said to me, your Verdi was way too slow. And I thought, I copied the recording. That recording was too old, too slow, an extreme tempo. And that was my biggest mistake. Boy, did I ever learn my mistake there. Okay. So when you are preparing for an audition, it's important to remember that you need to do a big cross dissection of a lot of recordings. Why? Because you don't want to do what I did and make the mistake of copying just one recording that may strike a member of the committee as way too fast, way too extreme, way too slow, way too period performance, way too romantic, way too heavy, etc., etc., etc. Does that make sense to you? If that makes sense to you, type a Y for yes in the chat. Listening to only just a few recordings, it's not enough. Yes, thank you, Yevgenia. Yes, okay. Why? Okay, so this question, why not ask the participant to play it faster instead of just eliminating? Well, there's not enough time. There's not enough time. Okay, so let's move on here. Okay, all right, audition preparation mistake number 8. Again, all of these from 1 to 8 or so, they're all coming under the big heading. I hope you're taking notes. They're all coming under the big category of technical preparation, musical preparation, and time management strategy, okay? So this one's about strategy, not knowing how to strategize for the committee's votes, okay? So Marie here agrees. Listen to a lot of recordings to have the big picture. Now, this ties in, what Marie just wrote, ties into what audition preparation mistake number 8 is, how to strategize for the committee's votes, okay? The important thing is when you're listening to a bunch of recordings, you are getting a cross-section of what people have been exposed to, what conductors like to do in terms of their interpretation and their style and their tempi. The more exposure you have to different tempi and different styles and the different conductors' interpretations, the more you're going to have a broad understanding of what's out there. This is what I mean by strategizing for the committee's votes. If you only listen to 1 or 2 or 3 recordings, then you're only going to please maybe 1 person in the committee or 2 people in the committee. Now, I want you to picture the committee behind the screen. There's about 9 people behind the screen. You have to get 5 votes, win 5 of those votes, majority votes, to get advanced to the next round. Now, if you're like me and chose a tempo that was way too slow, boom, I got immediately eliminated. You do not want to make the same mistake that I did. Okay, does that make sense? All right, maybe type a yes in the chat. Does that make sense on how to strategize how you choose your 1, interpretation, 2, your style, 3, your tempo. 3 things that you have to think strategically about to please the entire committee, okay? Type strategy in the chat for me, strategy. If you understand how important it is. This is a competition. Remember, 100 people might show up to this audition. You need to get 5 votes out of 9. Yes? Thank you. Barbara's nailed it. All right? Aim for some kind of middle ground. That's it. Cole says strategy. Thank you. Thank you. Justice. Miranda, thank you. This audience participation is off the charts. You guys are amazing. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I love this. Yes. Extra S's. I love that. Okay. Okay, this is a good question for Marie. How can you know what the committee wants? Again, we're going to answer these questions at the Q&A after, okay? So let's hear. If we listen to many recordings, we can be precise which one we prefer and helps to define our style. True. Good. Okay, so we understand the importance of strategy. Remember, if you don't know what the committee wants, do a lot of research. The wider the breadth of your knowledge, then you can trust your instincts more. Imagine if you only read 1 book in your whole life. Imagine if you read 100 books. Who's got the bigger and more accurate perspective? Yeah, the person who reads 100 books rather than the person who reads 1 book in their lifetime. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Good. I'm so glad you're with me. Let's move on here. Okay. Actually, before I move on to part 2, so part 2 is all about the mistakes that are based around confidence and performance anxiety. Okay. I have something exciting to share because coming up soon, I have a boot camp coming called Orchestra Audition Mastery. This workshop, we're just having a taste of what I teach. Orchestra Audition Mastery will go in deeper. This is my special announcement for you. It is coming very, very soon. It's coming April 8th to April 12th. Go ahead and mark that down in your calendar. 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time, pardon me, which is 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. British Standard Time, BST. So I would love for you to come to that. This is coming, and there's an early bird price of $97 before April 1st. Only 2 days to get the early bird discount, and the price will go up to $127 US, just so you know. Okay, so yes, so here it is. Orchestra Audition Mastery, April 8th, 10th, 12th, 12 p.m. each day. All your questions that you've been asking, you're going to get them answered further in detail in this Orchestra Bootcamp. How you're going to find that is on my website, which is lynnkuo.com, or you can go to this website here that I'm putting into the chat, which is Orchestra Audition Mastery website, the direct link, okay? So click on that link. I've posted it in the chat. So if you want, you can also find my website, which is lynnkuo.com. I put it right at the top. This morning, I put it right at the top, so it's easy for everyone to find. So if you go to lynnkuo.com, lynnkuo.com, then you will be able to see it. Here, I'll show you my website right there, lynnkuo.com. Go to the right to the top of the page, you will find Orchestra Audition Mastery. Okay? All right. So that's just my announcement for the special announcement for the upcoming Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp, if you want to go further. Now, let's move into part 2. Pardon me. Part 2 is all the mistakes that deal with performance nerves and confidence. Okay, so a bunch of you had said that you were struggling with nerves, shaky bow, not knowing what to do when you hear the other candidates in the audition. A lot of us will struggle with nerves, okay? And me included. This is why it's so important to understand what we can do to prevent any training mistakes and to increase our chances of feeling confident in the audition. So a mistake that we make for getting ready for the audition is focusing only on training the notes, learning the notes, practicing the notes, doing a mock audition, but ignoring mindset training. Okay, who here knows that athletes train with peak performance psychologists? Type yes in the chat. Who do we know that already? That athletes, Olympic athletes, basketball players, golfers, U.S. Olympic divers, they all train with a psychologist. All right. Why are they doing that? Thank you for all these. Look at this. Yes, yes, yes. Everyone's understanding how important it is. Okay. Yes. So this is really important. We all know that athletes work regularly with a performance psychologist. Why is it that musicians ignore this? We look at intonation. We look at ricochet. We look at bow stroke. We look at sound production. We look at vibrato. We look at playing Bach versus Brahms. We look at Mozart concertos. We look at Sibelius violin concerto. But wait a second, what do we do when our bow is shaking? What do we do when our mind is racing? Did we train for that? Right? Did we actually train for that? I don't think so. This is good. Justice, I'm reading Don Green now, How to Train Your Inner Hero. Fantastic book. I love this book, and I highly, highly recommend it. By the way, one of my students in California actually spotted my name in the back of that book, Train Your Own Hero. So that book, if you go right to the back of the book, the acknowledgements page, there's a bunch of people that he acknowledges, and my name is one of them, but it's spelled incorrectly. I'm wondering if anyone can find it. It's spelled Q-U-O. Okay, so Louis says it's important to not lose control. Exactly. And this is, thank you, Sashka. We are not trained that way. That's a shame. Why are musicians not trained the same as athletes? The definition of an athlete and the definition of a musician are so similar. The definition of an athlete typically would be someone who performs at an extremely elite level under pressure. Does that not sound like a musician? Someone who performs at an elite level under pressure, right? Yeah, does that make sense to you that musicians are just the same as athletes? Musicians perform under pressure, right? Okay, does that make sense? If that makes sense, type yes, please. Yes, yes, yes. Say that. Maybe someone please in the chat say musicians perform under pressure just like athletes. Something to that effect. Put in your own words, okay? Everyone expects us to train alone, and we're always alone in the practice room. Yes, it's pretty isolating, right? It is pretty isolating. And that's a real shame because we are stuck in our little practice room. And then the only time we come out is for our lesson or maybe orchestra. Okay. So thank you for all this audience participation. Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Barbara wins a prize. Barbara is so on top of it. Musicians perform under pressure, just like athletes. Sashka, musicians perform under extreme pressure. Walter, yes, musicians perform under pressure, just like athletes. Chris, thank you. You're all going to win a prize after this. You guys are awesome. Okay. All right. Let's go to audition preparation mistake number 10. So now you understand mindset training is really important, right? You now realize I shouldn't just be practicing my notes. I need to look at my mindset, look at how I can control my mind. And I've heard people talk about visualization before the audition, but okay, so I think I know how to do it, but they either don't do it enough, they don't do it for long enough, or they don't know how to do it properly, okay? So who here actually does visualization practice? Someone say type a V in the chat. Yeah? Can someone type a V? Who here practices visualization? Anyone? Anybody? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until people say yes or V. Type a V for visualization. Walter does? Good. Yes. Ina? Kim? Great. Sashka? V. Tom? Yevgenia? Yes. Good. Bess. Hi, Bess. I didn't expect to see you here. Jorge? Iya? Oh, let's see. Barbara hasn't really yet. Chris? Okay, you haven't quite yet. Miranda, Miranda, a little bit. Okay. Jennifer, don't know what proper looks like. Yeah, Aishka, yes. So don't know how. Okay. So this is really important for us to realize. Visualization is a key training strategy for athletes, for high level athletes. So Laurence, the question was, who here practices visualization before they perform or compete or take an audition? And so many of you do. Now, my question is, now we know that athletes do a lot of this training with their psychologists. We've already established that musicians often don't train mindset and often don't work with psychologists. So I have a sneaky suspicion that most of us don't really have a true idea of how to practice visualization techniques optimally. Or we do it, but we're not doing it enough. Or we do it enough, but we're not doing it well. Or we do it, but we still need to grow and improve, because visualization techniques are just like playing our instrument. You can start with, let's say, a beginner level on a scale and progress to level 10. And I think visualization is the exact same thing. Let me share you a true story. So I started visualization training, okay, with Dr. Don Green, and I was terrible at it. Really, really not good at it. I couldn't imagine me playing perfectly. He said, I want you to play perfectly. I couldn't imagine myself playing perfectly at all. Why? Because my visualization muscles, let's call it muscles, actually it's your brain, were not developed. Now, if I was asked to maybe picture a pink elephant, yes, that's easy. That's really easy. I can picture a pink elephant. It's big, it's kind of bubblegum colored and maybe cartoon-like, but I was tasked to imagine myself playing the concerto of my audition perfectly, and I bombed it. Why? Because I hadn't exercised those visualization muscles. This is what I mean by not knowing how to do visualization technique properly, okay? I find this very funny. Luis, drink a shot of whiskey is a good helper. That's really funny. Okay, great comments. Okay, so let's move on here before we get into Q&A stuff. All right, audition preparation mistake number 11. So you understand that getting visualization into your training is going to be really, really helpful for your audition. And you realize, okay, breathing is part of that, right? Calming your nerves. I've heard people say they have to breathe. People say when I'm nervous, just breathe. Okay, I'm breathing. And I ask people come to me and asking for help and training and coaching. I coach a lot of violinists for their auditions and for their recitals and their concertmaster solos. And I say, okay, so do you practice breathing and visualization? They said, yes. I said, when do you start? Just before the audition. Is that going to help just before the audition? Really? No, I'm serious. When you go to the dentist, do you start brushing your teeth just the day before you go to the dentist? Is that going to work? I don't think so, okay? So who here practices breathing every single day, regularly? Anybody? Okay, who only practices breathing just before the actual audition? Okay, just say day before or something. Who starts? Tom? Okay. Yes. Jennifer says we can start the work now, daily. Nick says, okay. Tatiana says no. And Tatiana says no. And Helika, no. Walter says it's everyday routine, as well as time for meditation and visualization is absolutely important. Walter you win a star for that, Walter. Okay, you're one of the rare ones who actually values this kind of work every single day. Okay, so this is interesting. Jorge says the week before. Is that enough? 1 week before? I brush my teeth 1 week before the dentist? Is that going to help our teeth and gums? I wonder. Musical Journey says rarely. Oh boy. Oh, Garmin Watch has a nice cue for breathing exercises. Thank you for that tip. Very nice. Okay, Hetal? Yes, good. Definitely good though. Okay, all right. Donut to get through the desk with a toddler. Oh, I'm not sure what that is. I do Vocalize. They're good for breathing. Fantastic. Good. Okay. Oh, yes, you do it daily. Great. Very good. Excellent. So some people do, some people don't. So it's like saying some people brush their teeth every day and some people don't. Who do you think is going to have better dental hygiene? The people who floss and brush and water pick every single day when they go to the dentist, and the dentist says, "You got great teeth. What are you doing?" "Oh, I brush every day. I floss every day." So why don't we become inspired by this brushing teeth analogy and say, on an audition day, I don't want to be the person caught brushing my teeth just before the day of the audition. Okay? So you can be like Marie and habit stack it. Habit stack is a term that you use to stitch together one habit with another. So Marie says she does breathing daily with yoga. All right? So does Luis. Okay? Go ahead and share your tips in there. Oh, okay. I do it to get through the day with a toddler. Thank you for correcting your typo. Bess, thank you. Bess has got my back. Thank you, Bess. Great analogy. So think of breathing like brushing your teeth, okay? So you don't want to get caught going to the dentist with dirty teeth because you didn't brush your teeth every single day. All right, let's keep going here. Audition preparation mistake number 12. Who here relates to this statement? I go to the audition room and I'm thrown into the room with everyone else and I can hear everyone else warming up and I get thrown off and I get really nervous and I think everyone's better than me. Who feels the same way? All right? Maybe type yes. Why? I know that's really hard because I've done it. It's so hard, right? It's really, really hard. You go into the room, you hear everybody warming up. Here's a true story, okay? All the Don Juans. It's so true. Oh my God, that Don Juan's better than mine. That high D is better than mine. Oh my gosh, definitely feel this. Yeah, right? Even the violin cases, right? Okay, it's triggering, right? Why don't music schools teach the importance of breathing? I really don't know. And this is why I'm making this workshop. This is why I'm inviting you to my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp on April 8th, 10th, and 12th. I will be covering more of these trainings that were never covered in my university training, in conservatory training, lessons, coachings. I will be covering all of the skills that I thought were missing from music school. Okay, so write down that date, April 8th, 10th, and 12th. Go to my website, www.lynnkuo.com. Scroll down, you will find Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. Sign up right away because there is an early bird discount between now and April 1st. Go ahead and sign up right away. Okay, so we have here, okay, let's say everyone has their own insecurities. That's true. And Natalia gets freaked out by the violin cases. Yes, but less and less as I improve. Depends on who the others are. And Helika, totally, that's me. Even months before the audition, I think of who all will show up and ruin my chances of doing the best. Okay, Jane, have you ever asked yourself, what do they have that I don't? So you see how we get into our head when we see the others. The problem is that it throws off our game, right? And the thing is, this is a mistake. This is a mistake, an oversight, right? What I mean by oversight is that when you go to an audition, you're going to have to think that this will be a reality. It is impossible that you will show up to the audition and you will see nobody. It pretty much is very, very, very rare. It did happen once for me. I did an audition. I got my own private room. It was fantastic. And then I left and didn't see anybody. Hardly saw a single soul. It was great. But that rarely happens. So we have to be aware that the general reality is you will be thrown into a cattle call. How do you prepare for that? So this is going to be something that is going to be an audition preparation strategy for you to contemplate. How am I going to prepare for that reality when it comes? Let me share you a true story. I don't know if Tanya is here. I asked Tanya how her last audition went. She said that hearing everybody warm up around her threw her off. Guess what Tanya did? Tanya recorded herself warming up, tuning, practicing, and layered it as an audio recording, multi-layered audio recording, and played it for herself and trained herself to tune it out. And I said, how did that go? She said, great. I wasn't nervous, even though I walked into the warm-up room. Everyone practicing around me did not throw me off because she had recorded it and trained herself to listen to it and play through it. But ironically, she said that when she went into her private room, when it was quiet, that's when she started getting really nervous. Isn't that crazy? Really, really crazy, right? So yes, brilliant idea, right? This is why I asked you the question at the top of the workshop. How serious do you want to get about your audition preparation? How serious are you about winning the job? If only 3 to 5% get past the first round, how serious are you going to take this? Yeah? This is what I'm saying. Mistakes and oversights. We want to think about what we're doing and what we can do to stop the mistakes. Okay, let's keep going before we get to Q&A. Okay, audition preparation mistake number 13. Now you go into the audition room and you think, okay, that person's just in music school. They're at Juilliard. All they do is practice 6 hours a day. I'm really old and I've been in my career for too long and I have 3 kids at home and I got to put dinner on the table and I have gigs all day. They're going to win the audition because all they do is sit home and practice. Okay, who thinks like that? I have. Anyone? Raise your hand or maybe type a yes for me in the chat. Who thinks like that? That person's so much younger. They're in Curtis. They're going to win. They won that concerto competition when they were 16, and I don't have a chance against them, okay? On the converse side, you're 18 years old, and you say, that person's 50 years old. They've played in orchestras all over Europe, and they played principal second violin in Minnesota, and so they know the rep, and they're taking this audition. I'm going to lose. Then everyone knows them already. They have the competitive advantage, okay? So this is what I mean by thinking, oh my gosh, the other person is better than me, right? Everyone here, look, everyone says yes, yes, okay, right? Oh, the atmosphere in music schools teaches us to compare. Yes, it's terrible, right? One thing to consider, it could be equally challenging for the people on the other side of the curtain listening to you. This idea might actually help. Yes, it is. I've been on the other side of the audition screen, and it is challenging for us to listen. It is actually really hard for us as well. Okay, so you all agree, right? I think they have a better violin, a better teacher. Okay, so these are interesting, right? All of the thoughts that go through our head, they have an advantage. Their violin is better. They study with a better teacher. Listen, when I won my job, I was playing a student violin. That student violin is right here behind me. I don't know if anyone can see it, but that violin is still right behind me. And I won my job on a student violin. And now I have a much better violin now, but I happen to win my job on a student violin. Okay, so this is what I call mindset, right? Dealing with performance anxiety and mindset. This is something that we can work on. And if this is the type of thing that you would like to address and shift and turn around so that you can become more confident, again, write down the date, April 8th, 10th, and 12th, Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. I'm going to be covering more of this deeper. It was so popular the last time in November, people wanted to do again. They said, I would definitely do it again. So I am repeating it. And I'm actually beefing it up even more. I'm adding more modules, more homework, more assignments, and actually adding in extra workshops. So go and get that early bird discount. It's $97 now until April 1st. After April 1st, the price is going to go up to $127. So find it on my website, lynnkuo.com, or here, okay, at this direct link, okay? All right, let's move on. Audition mistake, preparation mistake number 14. Okay, thinking we have to be perfect in the audition. All right. Oh, sorry. Let me remove Nick. Sorry, Nick. Okay, so we have this neurosis, right? Neurosis. Is that how you say it? About we have to be perfect. It's true. We do have to aim for that high bar. We do have to aim for the moon, we aim for the stars and then we hit the moon. Now, the thing is, perfection is overrated. Perfection is impossible. Perfection is not human and does not exist in the universe. So yes, aim for the high bar, but if you do not get perfection on that day, how do you cope with that? How do you respond to that? How do you deal with it in real time? So many of us aim for perfection, and when we don't get it, we start digging needles in our eyes. We start cutting ourselves. We start beating ourselves up. Oh, and I've actually was coaching someone in Australia, and they have this reaction every time they make a mistake, like this. So why are we expecting perfection from ourselves when we're human? right? Why is that? Okay. All right. Reality check. April 1 is only a few days away. We are already 1/4 through 2024 is true. April 1st is only 2 days away, meaning that the early bird discount for Orchestra Audition Mastery is going to go away in 2 days. That's right. So go ahead and sign up really fast. Okay. Luisa says, when I sign up for a contest, it is because I consider that I have all the necessary skills to win it, so I don't have to think about anyone else. Good. Thank you for sharing that. That's going to be very helpful for everyone else. Jane, I know more than one violinist who played a scale and came down in a different key. They were so nervous, but still got in. Wow, that's quite the story. That's crazy. Okay, so listen, I want my audition and I was not perfect. I think I missed a note in on an arpeggio, and yet they still squeaked me through. Heck, I even played Bach Chaconne as my solo piece for my audition. And I don't even know what I was thinking playing Bach Chaconne. Remember I had said earlier about strategizing for the committee? Bach Chaconne, playing Bach as your solo piece is probably the worst strategic decision for an audition committee ever. Because why? It's polarizing. Bach is polarizing. Why did I choose Chaconne? Kind of a foolish decision. But I lucked out. I didn't alienate anyone with my interpretation of Bach, thank goodness. And despite me missing an arpeggio note, I still somehow got it. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be excellent, but not perfect. Okay? So that's the one thing I would like for us to remember. Give yourself some grace to be human. Okay, the last audition preparation mistake. Not treating audition preparation like it's your full-time job. Now, recall how we said that musicians are elite performers. Athletes are elite performers as well. Let's take a look at the professional athlete world. They train 365 days a year. Maybe they take days off, okay? But they treat it like their job, right? They're constantly working on their speed, their agility, their drills, their technique, their mind. They're constantly working towards building their skills, building their performance strength, building their endurance. Same thing for us. Are we continually working on the quality of our sound? Are we continually working on the purity of our intonation? Okay, so here's a real example. I heard someone practicing in the locker room at the Toronto Symphony. Okay, this person is extremely talented violinist. All they were doing was practicing with a tuner drone, open G, A, open G, A. That's all they were practicing with a tuner. Now, that's what I mean, the level of dedication to perfecting your finger drop, the cleanliness of your drop, the purity of the intonation, the cleanliness of your bow, the control of the bow speed. This is what I mean. Finding all the small details in your technique and refining them until you become a Picasso of your instrument. You're refining every single bow stroke, every single finger lift, every single shift until it's smooth, every single decrescendo so that it doesn't crack in your bow, right? So this is what I mean by working on your craft throughout the entire year. Because when it comes to crunch time before an audition, like I said, it's that by the time you're working on technique before your audition, then it's a bit too late. You feel like you're crunching. You're crunching for time. You're pressed for time. You're not going to solve your technical issues in 6 weeks before the audition. All right. How to deal with a husband that understands this about audition prep. Oh boy. Oh well. I mean, some people just don't understand, right? Until they go through them themselves. Yeah. So, okay, who here actually treats audition prep like it's a full-time job? Anybody? Or do you just treat it like you're working on your technique just before an audition? All right. Who just starts to cram? Maybe type cram. If you start cramming, I cram. Here, I'll type that in. Cram. Oh, Zachary Hamilton music. Yeah, that's me. I put cram. I do cram. I go, I got to work on my sound. I've always hated my sound. And then at the audition, I go, that sounds so terrible. And then in 6 weeks, I'm so stressed that I just can't. I need to, yeah. It's hard with a full-time job. I know. So this is what I mean by oversights and mistakes. What if we can change our mindset about that and just train with the mindset of improving 1% at a time? Yeah, 1% at a time, where you're constantly working towards your next audition by looking at one aspect of your playing and taking on the mentality that you will work on it 1% of the time. Okay. Oh yeah, I have to cram because of my kid. Yeah. Hashtag reality. Hashtag real life. I'm trying, but my mom isn't supportive. I'm sorry to hear that. Tyler, I procrastinate and cram. I think that might be human nature, actually. But what if I challenge you, everyone in this room today, to start thinking that, you know what, every audition I take is going to be preparation for the next one. Every time I pick up my instrument, I can improve with the goal that it will be improving me for the next gig and next audition. Yeah, right? Too little time. Full-time job outside music, absolutely. But what if you cracked one little shift for today? What if you worked on one long tone for today? What if you took one finger lift exercise? Yeah. And just improve that for today with this mentality of 1% improvement every single day. That happens to be my teaching philosophy. Success comes in 1% increments. And when you build 1% increments over time, you will become a much better player and therefore more confident and more self-assured in your next audition. Okay. How much of the romantic concerto is heard at the audition? Okay, so people, please type into the chat your answers for some of these questions, all right? Because I will go into Q&A, but some of the questions, if I don't get to them, please contribute your conversation because that's very, very helpful. Oh, Bart. Hi, Bart. I have done shredding at first page today. Bart wins a prize. Yay. Great. Well, I better do mine too. Jorge says, but there's so much repertoire to work on auditions. I know. So maybe the goal here is to start cracking a little bit by reviewing some of the excerpts every single day or choosing an excerpt a week, right? Maybe it's Brahms 2 week. Maybe it's Don Juan on Mondays. Maybe it's Schumann Scherzo for the month of March, right? March has only two couple days left. Maybe for the next 2 days, you call it Don Juan review, right? So that you're always getting ready for something in the future because you know they're going to come. Right? Auditions are always going to come. And if you want to take auditions, you want to make sure you don't make any of these 15 mistakes. Am I right? Let's not make the same mistakes because we want to bring our level up and get better. So many excerpts, exactly. Okay, so before we go into the Q&A, let's do a quick review. The 15 audition mistakes split into 2 categories: practicing just to learn and fix notes and not learning how to perform under pressure. So now you learned how to play under pressure for a few friends and practice performing, but you do it only a couple times. And you think, that's enough. No, 40 times, 50 times even. So many times you have to actually build that into your schedule. Number 3, jumping into practicing and preparing without a plan. Okay, not scheduling your time, not managing which needs more practice than the others. Some people dive into their easiest excerpts and they leave the other excerpts they don't know for the last minute and they get caught in the audition. Okay, not having a plan. Number 4, you don't work on your technique away from the audition season. Okay, so think about you as an athlete. You're constantly working on your skills, your basics, your fundamentals, and your foundations throughout the entire year, so that when audition season comes, you feel a little bit more prepared. Having shaky rhythm and shaky pulse, and you don't even know it, or you do know it and you're not working on it. You're not doing the proper metronome drills. You don't know about splitting the off beats and the weak beats. These are really, really good drills that you can incorporate into your scale practice even every single day. Working on this is going to make you a killer orchestral player. And a lot of people come to me for coaching for their auditions, and they have so many issues with rhythm and pulse, and the two are different, if you remember. Okay. Audition mistake number 6, being unaware of the other orchestra parts. Go get a full score. All right. I have someone coaching for a concerto, solo concerto with orchestra right now. And they were not playing from a piano score. And I was shocked. They were playing and not hearing the orchestra. I was shocked. They're going to be playing with orchestra very soon. Get the orchestra part. Hear the orchestra part in your head. Do not show to the committee that you are insensitive, ignorant, and unaware of the other people in the orchestra, because a committee member wants to know that they can play with you and like playing with you, and they're not ignoring you, or you're not ignoring them, okay? Because you're going to have other instruments on the committee. They want to hear their part played along with you. And if you can't hear their part, they're going to be a little miffed, okay? All right, let's look here. 7, listening to only a few recordings or YouTube videos or whatever and thinking, I'm done. I'm good. I've done that. I've done that so many times. I don't have time to listen to so many recordings. I don't have time to find the recordings. You need to start earlier. Start your training earlier. It's never too early to do research. Maybe you need to compile the research. And actually in Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp, the one coming on April 8th, I will be sharing with you my spreadsheet on how you can get organized and how you research recordings. Research recordings and treat it like a research document. Okay, people who have taken my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp already have seen how I do that. I will be showing you how to do that research in Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp on April 8th. Go get your early bird discount right now before April 1st. Okay, audition mistake number 8, not knowing how to strategize for the committee's votes. I want you to remember that when you take an audition, it's a competition. And it's just like America's Got Talent. There's votes, right? There's votes that are happening. How are you going to win the vote strategically? You have to think, how am I going to please the greatest amount of people out of 9 people and win at least 5 of those votes? Okay. All right. 9. Now you're practicing the notes. You just focus on the music. You listen to the recordings. Sure. You work on your rhythm. You work on your pulse. You work on your sound. You work on your intonation. That's great. But then you're not looking at your confidence mindset, your winning mindset, your ninja focus. You're not working on your negative thinking, your positive thoughts, your resilience under pressure, what you're going to say to yourself when you walk into the room, what you're going to focus on when you're about to start the excerpt. What are you going to tell yourself when you start freaking out when you hear other people in the warm-up room? What are you going to do when it becomes so quiet you only hear your own thoughts? Have you thought about these issues that will come up in the audition experience? If you ignore these at your own peril. Okay, this is what I mean by a mistake at the audition, an oversight. Number 10, not knowing how to do visualization techniques properly. So a lot of you have done visualization, but maybe you're not doing it often enough, not doing it at the correct time of day, not doing it at the correct brain waves, knowing the difference of your brain waves and when the optimal time of doing visualization is, what the ideal perspective is. Is it internal perspective, external perspective? How often should you do it? Okay, so this is really important for you to think about how you're doing visualization and how you're doing it optimally. Okay. Now, you know the importance of controlling your body, the pulse. My pulse is racing. My body is shaking. My hands are cold. So I know that people like Lynn teach performance psychology, and Lynn coaches violinists on how to get confident. But I know she teaches breathing. But you know it's important, but you only start the week before or maybe the day before. You only start brushing your teeth before the dentist a couple of days before, right? This is going to be a problem. We have to start building in like your scales, like taking a shower, like taking your vitamins or eating a healthy diet. This is going to be your new diet. Breathing control is body control, and body control is mind control. If you were at my previous workshop, which I did on muscle tension, the secret killer of violin technique, we covered breathing in depth. And we said that the link between your body and your mind and the mind and your body is the breath. Okay. So breath from every day forward, conscious breathing. If you can take one conscious breath today, pat yourself on the back. Okay. You have started your journey to building in breathing exercises in your audition training. Okay. Mistake number 12, getting thrown off hearing others at the audition. This is not necessarily a mistake, but it is something that you can prevent from throwing you off, okay? So now you know that this can throw you off. What are you going to do about it? So I gave you the story of Tanya, what she did. What are you going to do to make yourself stronger mentally? This is what I mean by the ninja focus and this kind of Jedi training, okay? When I help violinists in my program, we talk about what we're going to do to hone the mind for Jedi-like focus and ninja mind calm, okay? We need to cultivate this skill for when you walk into the room. 13, thinking that everyone has a competitive advantage over you, all right? Everybody thinks everyone else is better, everybody. They think you're better than them. So what are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do about it? And how are you going to shift your mindset? Now, shifting your mindset, I will be covering, like I said, more of this mindset building, confidence boosting in my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp, April 8th to 12th. And the early bird discount happens until April 1st. So go to my website again. Here, I'll put in the chat one more time in case people have missed it. There. Okay. So 14, thinking that you have to be perfect in the audition. No, I want you to replace the word, scratch out the word perfect, scratch it out right now. Go ahead, scratch it out. Thinking you have to be excellent in the audition. Yes, let's say you have to be excellent. You definitely have to aim for the high bar. Aim for the stars. Don't settle for anything less. And if it crashes down and hits the moon, it is a little bit less than perfection, right? It is. I want you to be okay with that. I want you to say, dang, I did a great job. Even though I didn't hit the stars, I hit the moon. The moon's not bad at all. So I want you to reframe how you visualize perfection and what it takes to get there and what happens to you and your mind and your self-acceptance when you don't hit perfection, okay? This is about mindset. Last but not least, not treating audition prep like your full-time job. Listen, I have violinists in my VIP coaching program, and I'm coaching them because they are serious. They understand that coaching for an audition requires year-round training. right? For example, Luke, I know Luke is here. Luke, are you still here? Can you say hi to us in the chat? Luke is one of those people. Luke won 2 auditions while he was training in my program. Two auditions, and he continues to train. So he treats audition prep like working on his skills and working on his integrity as a violinist and as a musician. So when you train with that kind of dedication, there's no way for you to not improve. All right. So before we go to the Q&A, I want you to ask these questions of yourself. Have you made any of those 15 mistakes? Okay, think about any of those. How many of them have you made? Right? How many of those 15 mistakes have you made or have affected you? How have they impacted your past auditions? Did they prevent you from advancing past the first round? Did they make you so nervous you couldn't even play? Did they throw your game off so much that you knew you could have played better, but you didn't, right? So think about how these things have impacted your audition journey, all right? So who here relates to that? Just maybe type a yes in the chat. Yes, I relate, or something just to share. Oh, Chris, probably all of them at least once. Yeah, anyone else? I wrote them all because I've experienced every single one of them. All 15. All 15 I've experienced. Jorge, yeah, you too, right? I'm going to say yes for me too because I've experienced every single one of them. Yeah, definitely can relate to all of the above from Barbara. Co, absolutely. So you see we're all the same, right? We're all pretty much the same. Natalia, yes, of course. Okay, so it's exactly the same. So now my next question is, now that you know about these 15 mistakes, just take a second now, right? Take a second now and ask yourself, what can you do to improve going forward, right? Donna says definitely. Just take a second now. Think about what your next move. Sure, you've taken this workshop from me. This is good. You took a step. But what's your next step? Okay, maybe actually, you know what? Let's do an exercise here. Out of all 15, you've taken notes. I'm assuming you took notes. Why don't you choose one of those 15 right now? Okay, type in the chat your next action step. Next action step. Oh, thank you, Luis. Luis is the first. Change our way to think. Anyone else? What's your next move before your next audition? What are you going to do? Please write in the chat. Let's motivate each other here. We're going to do this together, right? Barbara wants to do number 15. So treating audition prep like a full-time job. That's great. Anyone else? What's your next step to improve your chances at your next audition? Marie, making a plan. I just don't know how. Okay, so Marie, come to my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. I covered that on day 1, right? April 8th. Yeah. Jane, prepare way in advance. Good. So start thinking of this, treating it more seriously. Kim, number 15, not treating it like a full-time job. Carving out time and schedule to give. Yes, thank you. Florencia, I'm going to do a schedule, include breathing exercises and meditation. Anthony, tell myself and believe I'm a great player. Yes, mindset training. Good. Chris is all about time management. Good. I love Captain Caffeine. My next step is drink whiskey. All right. Good luck. Ishan, hello. Nice to see you again. Do more planning and training breath daily. There we go. Luis wants to make a plan. Christian, breathing and visualization together. Mistake number 13. It sabotages me. Yes. I forget what 13 was. I can't even remember. Miranda, yes, number 15. But I have to make a time plan around work, kids, and house duty. Jennifer, I will treat my current orchestra gig as my preparation for future auditions. Start studying scores. Use metronome. Train pulse and rhythm. Laurence, work hard, meditate, and relativize. Evgenia, practice every day. Good. I'm glad to see action takers here. Angelica, plan and change mindset. Angelica, you and I will work together very soon, okay? We'll see you in class very soon. Angelica is inside my VIP coaching program. So we're going to be preparing for an audition soon. Justice, number 2. Good. Oh my gosh, there's so many of you. Plan, time, management, breathing. Yes, what else do we have here? Mindset exercises, planning, studying the score. Yes, Co. You and I have talked about this before. And Co, you and I have talked about rhythm and pulse as well. Barbara, exactly, every day. Practice plan. Good. Excellent. Okay, good. All right, so let's take a look here. Just to remind you, if you want to go further with all of this, I'm offering this as an early bird discount for all of you who want to get started on this material right away. So what I do inside Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp, it's going to be covering all of the things that I mentioned, all the 15 mistakes and how you're going to prevent them from happening. It's 12 p.m. every single day, April 8th, April 10th, April 12th. Some people ask, how do I make a plan, right? How do I study the score? Guess what? I'm going to have a special workshop called Score Study and Harmony. I actually have some breathing exercises that we can try. I actually have a whole recording research spreadsheet that you can use as a template. You can take and grab my template and use that to get organized with your recording research. Then you can use also my practice journal template, which is a spreadsheet that you can just grab and use, personalized for your own plan. You have kids, house duty, gigs, then scratch out the times that you can afford, plot them into the spreadsheet, plan out the excerpts you want to hit, record your progress so that you're motivated for what you want to achieve next, and then write down what you want to improve. Doing this is going to give you more structure for your next audition, okay? Right, so if you want all of this, come to my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. All right, I will go further in detail. The people who here has taken my bootcamp last time? Anyone? Who did it last time? Please type in the chat, because I know people took it and they said they wanted to do it again. So that's why I'm repeating it. It was so helpful. I stacked it with tons of information, so much more that it's worth way more than what I'm charging. Has anyone taken my bootcamp? Anybody? Nobody? Oh my goodness, really? That is interesting. Okay, all right. So I'm going to leave this up here. Oh, there we go. What I'm going to do is, this is, okay, hold on. This is where you can go to get to the Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. All right, you can go there. Pardon me. Or you can go to this direct link here. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the questions. I recall that there was a question. Let me stop the share, actually. Oh, Justice, thank you. Justice took my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. Thank you. Justice, if you wouldn't mind, can you just type in the chat what one thing you took away from that Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp? One thing, just one thing. That would be a great help. A nice favor I'll ask you from Justice. Okay. I saw some questions up above. Let me see. I think there was one question about how do we know what the committee wants? Where is that question? Oh my gosh. I forget who asked the question, but I did see it up there. So the answer to this question, by the way, if you have questions, type them in the chat. I'm going to get to them. How do we strategize what the committee wants? So part of it is doing a full amount of research on all of the excerpts. Okay, so the research that you do on the excerpts that you're studying and playing and performing will give you a broad view of a broad understanding, shall we say, broad understanding of each symphony, every piece, every excerpt. You are going to know the style. How do we know what the committee wants? Well, you need to understand that the committee has seen many conductors, right? And each conductor brings their own interpretation, right? So when they have their own interpretation, it can be very individual. But when you have a wide spectrum of exposure to different conductors, meaning that the more exposure you have to different recordings, right, different interpretations, then you're going to start getting a broader sense of what is acceptable for people behind a committee. Then you're going to say, you know what, I want to go middle of the road. So I don't make an interpretation that's too extreme, too heavy in sound, too light, too quick, too slow, etc., etc. Okay, so that's my answer to that question. All right, let's continue some more questions here. What are the excerpts that you recommend to always have ready? Okay, the standard ones, Mozart 39. Okay, write that down, Mozart 39. Schumann Symphony No. 2, Scherzo movement. Mendelssohn Midsummer Night's Dream Scherzo. Okay, I'm going slow for a reason, so that you have time to jot all the notes down. Brahms Second Symphony. Often Brahms Fourth Symphony. Okay, I'm going slow for a reason. Prokofiev Classical Symphony. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else have any suggestions? These are probably the top 6 that you see them all the time. All the time. Okay, what else do we have here? Sashkas asks, how much of the romantic solo concerto is heard at the audition? Usually I would bank on the opening all the way to the end of the exposition. But it depends per orchestra. They may want to hear the cadenza. They may ask you to prepare the entire movement. But rarely do I hear people playing the entire movement. Rarely. So I would definitely bank on the opening up to the end of the exposition. Always have that ready. And possibly the cadenza. That's what I would bank on. Nick, what number 1 tip for maintaining pulse and focus under pressure. Okay, pulse is different from focus. So we'll have to answer these questions separately. Maintaining pulse under pressure takes training. So you have to go into your metronome. Now, there's two different parts. The brain, when you are following a beat, you're using a part of the brain to follow a metronome or a conductor. But as soon as you remove the metronome, then you have to generate your own pulse. That's a different part of your brain. So I recommend everybody go into an app called Time Guru. Time Guru. I'm typing this into the chat. Time Guru is a metronome app which can delete beats. It can delete beats by randomizing how much you want to silence those beats. So, number one tip for maintaining pulse is to use an app like Time Guru, which actually starts subtracting beats so that you have to supply the beat yourself. Then you can start randomizing it so that you delete maybe up to 75% of the beats. And so it's training you. It's like taking training wheels off. See how accurate you can maintain your own pulse when it's not being given to you. Okay. Then under pressure and focus under pressure, then you have to do it when you're doing mock auditions. See if you can do it under pressure. Okay. I have a true story where I actually did an LA Phil audition and I walked out of there so happy. If anyone read my email about my LA Phil audition, I neglected to say that I was so happy, partly because I played Brahms 2 and my tempo was so controlled, even though I was my first excerpt out the gate. So I worked on my tempo control, my pulse control, even though I was under pressure. Now, focus under pressure, that's also training. It's also just the training through breath and through actually putting yourself under pressure and forcing yourself to rise to the occasion. The more you do it, the better you get. It's like a muscle. It's like you go to the gym, let's say your muscles are a little flabby. The more you go to the gym, the stronger you're going to get. Nick, I hope that answers your question. Okay, Justice here has taken my orchestra audition mastery bootcamp. I asked him to give the one takeaway that he got from my bootcamp. He said he liked the legs representing the different parts of audition prep. When you come to my orchestra audition mastery bootcamp, you're going to hear my framework, my custom 5-step framework for how I think of audition preparation. It's called TABLE, TABLE. Each of those, each leg on the table represents a leg that you can stand on when you get ready for an audition. So in my bootcamp, I will be taking you through all 5 of those legs. Okay, so Justice is referring to that. Jennifer asked a very good question. Is it okay to skip multiple measures of rests? Yes, but this is a good question. My general rule is if you think the orchestra committee can hear the orchestra part inside of those rests and are singing along, then count. Then count. Don't skip them. Because if they're singing along and you skip, then they're thrown off. But if it's so long that there's no way that they're going to sing the entire thing, then skip. That's my general rule. So 2, do committees ever skip the exposition part of a concerto and ask the player to play a later part? I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever heard of that. But if you think that's a possibility, then make sure you're prepared. But I would personally bank on the beginning more than the end. Okay. Jorge, on the Mozart concerto round, do you think that tempo/pulse is more important than expression and phrasing? Should I play my Mozart concerto more as a tutti violinist playing a solo? I don't think tempo pulse is more important than expression and phrasing. Oh, maybe maybe the question is playing more like a virtuoso rather than a steady player. Is that what you're saying? Because I think what you're implying is that playing with expression and phrasing can take away from your steadiness of pulse. I think that's what you're implying. If that's what you're implying, then no. I think it is possible to play with expression and phrasing and still maintain tempo and pulse. Get both. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, meaning you want to play expressively and play with good phrasing. But that doesn't mean you don't have to lose out on good tempo and good rhythm. Make sure you're staying with good pulse, but with good expression. Okay? I think that's what you're saying. Yes. Okay, with no soloistic perspective. You can still sound like a soloist, but have excellent good pulse. That's my opinion. Miranda, and finding the common thread among those multiple recordings. Yes. And this is in reference to finding, researching recordings. Yes. Looking at many recordings and also developing your own personal interpretation based on what you've been researching and studying. Okay. Chris says, with my ASO audition in just about 1 week away, good luck. What's the most important thing I can do to help me be as prepared as I can to play my best and not over practiced? 1 week away, I would make sure you get a lot of sleep. Make sure you get sleep. I don't know about you, but before an audition, I get very, very fried. Being fried does not help you. So if you're like me and you're fried, you need to rest more than you practice. And if you still need to have the urge to practice, like I do, because I have this compulsion, I must put my violin in my fingers, then play things until it makes you feel calm. All right. I don't know how you feel before an audition, but I get very jittery and nervous, and I need to calm myself down. So it's called an activation level or arousal level. If your arousal level is high 1 week before, play things until it makes you feel calm so that you can walk into the audition maintaining that state of calm. Okay? That's my advice. Jennifer, who do you ask for feedback when you were eliminated? You go write an email to the personnel manager and ask for feedback through them. Or if you have the emails addresses directly of each committee member, then you can ask them that way as well. And don't be surprised if they don't get back to you, because it's a lot of work to write down all the comments. But yeah. Jane asks, can you explain why Bach is so polarizing? It is very polarizing because people have their preferred styles, preferred interpretations, preferred artists, and unfortunately, they vary quite widely. So one person who really likes early music influence will not like a very heavy romantic approach, and vice versa. People like that full romantic, robust sound will hate the early music thin approach. So you could play a gorgeous Bach that's very early music oriented, early period performance oriented, and alienate the people who really like the thick, heavy style, and vice versa. That's why it's polarizing. Let's see. If the judges are the conductors and I am allowed to talk to them in the audition, how little or how much should I talk to them? What should I say? Okay, typically auditions are behind a screen, so you cannot speak. You cannot make a noise. You cannot identify who you are. You can't even cough because you do not want to reveal your identity. They even disguise the sound of your shoes by putting a carpet down. But if you're in an audition where you actually see the committee and the conductor, you know, how little or how much should I talk to them? What should I say? Just say hello. If you're there, just say hello. Be polite. If you're actually seeing them, say hello. I know that I remember it was, I think, Tommy Freer, Cleveland Orchestra, timpani. Does he still play in Cleveland? I don't know. I believe he explained how he won his job in Cleveland. I was a young violin student, and he was giving us a workshop on audition preparation. He said he passed the screen, and that meant that people could see him and he could see the committee. So he actually looked them in the eye and made a joke because they were actually delayed. And he said, well, hey, he kind of tapped his watch and made a joke. He's like, hey, time's ticking here. I'm waiting for you. And so they laughed at him. So I don't know how that's going to work for you, but if you feel like making a joke to lighten up the mood, go ahead. But make sure you do it respectfully and appropriately. Okay, Nick says, I make tempo charts. Good for individual excerpts with extremes and means. So I'm ready to play at any tempo in between if asked. That's what I'm talking about. Nick's got it. So that's what I'm going to go deeper on inside my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. Okay, that's the type of preparation and strategy that I'm going to be going into my bootcamp. All right. What else do we have here? I'm going to have to wrap up in about 10 minutes. Okay. Kim. If a panel asks you to tune after you play your concerto, that's a good thing, right? I freaked out and didn't spend enough time tuning. Didn't get a reference pitch before I resumed playing. Oh my good gracious. Yes, tune. Take the time to tune. We think that tuning is wasting their time. It's not. Go ahead and tune. Just think of it as meditation time for you and the committee. The committee's actually we're actually behind the screen, like with pen and paper, and we're rustling with papers. We don't have time. We need to write down the name of the concerto, and then by the time you start playing, I'm still writing something down, and I missed the first part of your concerto. Go ahead and tune. It gives them a chance to breathe too. It's a lot of pressure behind the screen too, actually. So go ahead and tune properly. Ishan, okay, for Mozart concerto and romantic concerto, not playing from memory does that matter? Does that matter for the committee? I don't believe so. I don't believe it does. Just play your best, whether it's with music or without. Nick, my orchestra listens to 2 minutes of the concerto, 2 minutes per contract. The audition monitor signals that 2 minutes have passed. Then we usually ask the candidate to move on at the best spot after that. Thanks, Nick. That's good. Luis, what Mozart concerto could you recommend us for the audition between 3, 4, and 5? Thank you. The answer is the best one that you sound in, meaning the one you sound best in. Pardon me. The one you sound best in. That's the answer. Aika, how do you deal with anxiety and pressure during or before an audition? That question is so multifaceted. It has to be divided into my table framework. That question I will answer inside my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. I also answer it inside my Concrete Performance Anxiety course. I answer it inside my VIP coaching. I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer this in one brief answer, Aika. Come to my Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. We will talk about the ways that we can deal with anxiety and pressure, because I will be going deeper into workshops. Okay. Justice. What is a reasonable length of rest to count? 3 to 4 bars slow tempo, 8 to 10 fast tempo. Okay, I answered this question above. My answer is not a number of bars, it's the music. If you think the committee is singing the music in their ear, then you wait. You count those rests. If it's too long for them to sing the entire passage, then skip. That's my answer. Okay, let's see. Nick says count 2 bars of rest max. Otherwise, the committee feels the clock is ticking, wonders what you're waiting on. That's true too. Sometimes you don't want them to be sitting around and wasting their time. That's true too. But I think that if the committee can hear it, then I would count it and hear it as well. And Florencia says, in my orchestra, they give you sight reading in the audition. Any tips? Oh boy. Okay, that's a great question. Then practice sight reading. If you know that sight reading is given in your audition, build in sight reading into your training. So when you practice, when you are training and planning, remember we said to plan your practice, plan in a little time slot in your practice devoted to sight reading. Okay, sight read something out of a symphony and just see how well you do. How to keep the pulse, how to keep the accidentals, how you maintain the sound quality. Go ahead and practice that. What if Bach is part of the audition requirement? Then practice Bach. Then just study Bach. Yeah, just study Bach. Play for a couple of people on the committee to make sure you have a sense of what they like. If it's Bach, then get a sense of what their preferred style is. Like we said, Bach can be contentious and divisive. So if you know that they want Bach, get a sense of what they like in their style. What is the right mindset after a failed audition? Excellent question, Yulia. I'm going to be covering that in Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. It's called Mindset. I want everyone to again, come to my bootcamp. Early bird price ends April 1st. I will be covering mindset after a failed audition. There's a couple of things, Yulia. There's a post audition review. There's a review of what you did well, success, effort, and progress, an ESP, effort, success, progress, an ESP review that you do after the audition. And it's a mentality that we're going to talk about, a global mindset that you zoom out of the actual situation, zoom out, take a bird's eye view of the whole audition process and look at it as a training opportunity. That's my in a nutshell response to your question. Okay. All right. Last question. Can you let the audience know what the best sight reading techniques are for any level of playing? Great. So when you're practicing sight reading, you always want to make sure your eyes are ahead of your fingers or ahead of where you're playing. So your eyes are going to be scanning ahead. Now, obviously, before you even do that, make sure you look at the top, the road signs, the traffic signs, key signature, time signature, tempo marking. So those three, it's like driving on the highway, right? Driving in a new city. Make sure you know the speed limit. Make sure you know it's not one way on that street. Make sure you know it's a right turn or no right turns on that street. Take a look at those traffic signs first. Key signature, time signature, and tempo marking. And of course, the composer. The composer will give you a clue of the style, all right? After that, then find the pulse inside your body and then maybe sing, right? Sing the music in ahead of you. Plan out some fingerings in your mind, some shifts or whatever you need to do that. And then always look ahead, all right? Okay, so I think with that last question, I think we are done. So a little bit over time. Thank you for spending Good Friday with me. Again, this has been a great pleasure. I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please say so in the chat. It's very nice to hear your positive thoughts. Cole, thank you so much, Cole. You were the first one to say thank you. You are very welcome, Cole. And it's great to see you again. Cole was in my VIP coaching program too. Kim, thank you, Kim. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Luis. For me, it is a result, not a failure. Good. I like that. Keep sharing those wisdoms. Hey, Kevin, I'll see you soon in class. Kevin's inside my VIP program. Natalia, you're welcome. Yishin, you're welcome. Miranda, thank you. Nick, thank you. Marie, thank you. Rebecca, nice to see you. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for all the thank yous. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you. Have a great Easter weekend, all of you. Enjoy the Easter time with your loved ones and May the Easter Bunny be good to you all. Good luck in your future auditions. I'm thinking about you. And oh, Jane, you're so sweet. You're awesome, Lynn. You're very, very helpful. I appreciate that. Donna, thank you. Great workshop. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Tyler, thank you so much, Dr. Lynn Kuo. My pleasure. Barbara says, since I can't attend in April, will there be other opportunities for the boot camp? At this moment, I don't know. But if it is popular again, I shall repeat. Okay? So I hope to see most of you, if not all of you or many of you, in April 8th to 12th. Sign up right away. Early bird is coming, going to end soon. So I would love to see all of you there. And that way we can go deeper. Oops, why did that not work? Okay, there we go. Okay, so see you all there, April 8th to 12th. I will be broadcasting actually from California. So I'm hoping all my tech will work. If it doesn't, I'll be freaking out. Oh boy. Can I watch the recording, Yan? Says the recording of this one, yes. Okay. And for the bootcamp as well. Everything will be recorded for the Orchestra Audition Mastery Bootcamp. So if you can't attend live, you can still get the recordings and still do the homework and get access to the resources for the bootcamp on April 8th. Thank you, Tom. Enlightening. I like that. I hope you do feel enlightened. I feel enlightened. I feel very thankful, actually. I feel very thankful that you've chosen this time to spend with me on Easter weekend. Enjoy the long weekend. All my best to everybody. And take it easy. Be kind to yourself, right? Remember that this is a process of improvement. Actually, let me stop the share. There we go. Remember that this is a process of improvement. Every audition that you take is training ground for the next one. So be easy on yourself. Aim for 1% better every single day. Choose one of the 15 mistakes. Take actions today and going forward. And I will see you April 8th to 12th. Okay, take care, everybody.